What's up everybody, Maik here from New York City, hunting mystical creatures, the Yeti, Nessie and brown fat. So brown fat is something that appears ever so often in, magazines we shall not name as the fat-burning fat, and everybody goes wild and says, I must have it, right? So let's backpedal and see what it is, and if you can get it, and if you need it, and so on and so forth. So there's two types of fat, right? And I'm oversimplifying, there's actually three. There's white fat and there's brown fat. So white fat, by definition, is like a single droplet of fat in a fat cell, right? And not much else, Brown fat is a lot of little droplets. It has mitochondrias, like the power plant of the cell, so to speak, which contains iron, which makes it brown. And then there's capillaries, actual blood vessels. So brown fat is metabolically active, right? It uncouples, basically through a protein, and then creates heat. Whereas white fat also creates heat, but it is there as a fat storage. So in grossly oversimplified terms, brown fat actively creates heat. White fat is there to store energy that you can then use to make heat if needed, okay? So who has brown fat? That's a good question. Babies. And why? Well, babies, think about it. They have a big head and a small body. They have very little hair, and they have very little white fat yet, and also very little muscle. So nothing insulates them. So nature gave them brown fat, right? Because babies, they can't dress themselves, they can't crawl away from an AC or a window. So if they wouldn't have the brown fat, we would have all died out a long time ago, right? So brown fat saved humans. And then there's animals that hibernate, okay? They also store brown fat. In adults, it basically, as we get older, the mitochondrias turn off, and then the brown fat turns into white fat. So we have very little. It's mainly between the shoulder blades, along the spinal cord, that's about it. So, of course, the fitness industry being a business, somebody says, wait a minute. If we tell people brown fat burns fat, they're gonna want it, and then I'm gonna make a pill that will tell them that it will have more brown fat, and they will buy it, right? Sounds great. It would be the pill that kills obesity, right? But let's backpedal for a second. So you have brown fat, which has mitochondria, capillaries, and so on and so forth, and you have white fat, which doesn't. So to transform white fat into brown fat is literally like making lead into gold. You would have to create mitochondria, which is the power plant of a cell, basically life, right? So you're telling me you have a pill that can create life for $9.99? I'd take two. That sounds awesome. So you can guess where this is going. There are ways to minimally increase brown fat, such as cold showers or biking in shorts to work in New York City. Sorry about the fire alarm, but this is New York City. Generally turning the heat down, using melatonin to sleep better, as well as not overeating, who would have thunk it, and exercising. Now, as opposed to supplements, certain things show a little bit of promise, such as ursolic acid, which is found in apple peels. So eat your apples. Then capsicum and black pepper, so hot chilies, black pepper. That being said, I know a lot of people that consume a lot of spicy food, but too much of it, and they're still chubby, right? And then there are certain drugs that show promise, mainly the beta-2 mimeticas, but the clenbuterols of the world, but they of course come with side effects. So, heart racing and so on and so forth is not something you want. And then there is one drug that is used for overactive bladder. It's a beta-3, which causes the androgen receptors to relax, and you may or may not form more brown fat. However, brown fat is a fascinating substance, and maybe at some point we'll figure it out. But for the time being, instead of chasing how you could have a little bit more brown fat, that time and money is much better spent in coaching, educating yourself, hiring me, and losing the white fat, because that will get you much, much leaner, okay? So, once we have something new on brown fat, I'll be the first to tell you, but until now, diet, exercise, sleeping, and if you like spicy food and cold showers, go nuts, but it's not gonna be a miracle pill. Maik out.